Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim, and welcome to Tim Talks, the show that's only partially a show, but really is just an excuse for me to talk to my very talented friends. And speaking of talented friends, I have another one here with me today. He's the production designer over at Rooster Teeth, Marcus LaPorte. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, I know. You did a lot today.
I'm so tired.
Got to help a different department, one that I'm not in, luckily.
So, full disclosure here, Marcus and I actually work together. I know it's an aspect I don't really talk about a lot, but we do work together at Rooster Teeth, and I always felt like Marcus was someone I really wanted to chat with because he has a very long and storied history in the business before Rooster Teeth, and also he has done a lot since then. So it just kind of felt like a very natural fit. There's very little altruism. Well, okay. A moderate amount of altruism going on here. So for those who may be unfamiliar with what you have done, Marcus, give us a little CV, a little Reader's Digest version of what you've done so far.
Okay. Well, I got my start at Troublemaker Studios, and I did most of the Spy Kids movies.
That's Robert Rodriguez, yeah?
Yes, exactly. It's Robert Rodriguez's studio. It's outside of, pretty much in Austin, right in the middle of Austin. And he's, made a couple of movies, about a movie a year for maybe a decade. And so up until about Predators, which was probably the most recent movie we did for him, we did virtually everything. So I kind of handled prop shop. I made a lot of fun weapons, a lot of fun, cheesy props for Spy Kids. Those were, people always make fun of those movies, but it's like, whatever, man. That was like good training for me.
I mean, the thing is that like, those Spy Kid movies, the thing I love most about them is how over the top they are.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely know their place. Like they weren't trying to be, something they weren't. They weren't trying to be like higher end than they were. It was made for exactly what.
And I'll bet that let you some freedom to be able to do some very fun things.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, we had a lot of support staff there, and obviously, the funds there were virtually unlimited. I mean, when you get to be in projects in the millions, things start to get fun because you don't have to worry about money. You can just be like, oh, we can totally do that. Let's do that. And so, it is a great place to get, paid training and still work on big budget feature films.
Right.
So, yeah, it was great. It was the best place for me to start, really. And considering I wasn't having to do it in New York or LA or Chicago, I was just happy to be in Austin still and do that stuff. So, yeah, it was great.
And then you also got to work on things like Sin City and Death Proof and Planet Terror and Friday the 13th. I'm reading off my notes here.
Yes.
The 2009 reboot of the Friday the 13th movies, as well as Machete. I mean, come on, man. Yep. That is one hell of a pedigree.
Well, I had a really good string of movies, and we had a pretty good run in the early 2000s. Austin had a pretty good run of feature films that were pretty big. All that stuff had fun things to make. All those.
Now that's always been an interesting story to me. Tell the people who may not be familiar with the business why that is. Why like Austin and New Orleans and Atlanta have been getting such big industries as of late.
Oh, well, mainly because things are really expensive in LA and New York. The labor, everything, the goods, the products, the hotel rooms, all the support systems there, they're really expensive. And granted, the infrastructure is there, the crew base is there, which is great. But I think people finally realize, well, we can make movies anywhere. We just have to find a good place. And a lot of states, to become more attractive in the film industry, have implemented tax incentive programs. So a lot of the reasons that some of the smaller states are getting a lot of movies right now is mainly because they're offering, millions of dollars in return, percentages of return. So if I spend $10 million there, I'm going to get $2 million of it back from a check from the state at the end of the movie.
Automatically.
And that's just right off the top.
So when you're talking about, movies making their money back, that's a good start.
Well, yeah, I mean, that could be upwards of, 20 to 30% of all the money they spend is going to come back to them. So yeah, I mean, that's the reason Louisiana is booming right now. It's one of the reasons, Atlanta is booming. But really, I just, the whole film industry in general is kind of in a funny spot because these states can't really do this forever.
Right.
And, they can't support it. And they're doing it now to bring the business there. But eventually, those incentives are probably going to go away. And I just wonder And I wonder how long the industry will stay there.
I wonder
So,
if it'll end up being a factor of labor because, you know, you do end up spending a little bit less because the employees are having to spend a little bit less. But then again, the industry does bring around a gentrification of sorts, and it raises, you know, cost of living and property values and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah,
one problem kind of exacerbates each other.
I'm sure they'll just keep bouncing around from state to state, and
Yep.
then eventually they'll have to just
Oh God, I do not
start
want to have
over.
to move to Indiana, Marcus. Please don't make me move to Indiana because of the
Don't
movie
worry,
industry.
I don't think we're going anywhere. I think we're
So then, after working on all of these features, you started working with Rooster Teeth. How did you get involved with them?
yeah. It was really it was the well I did commercial art direction and production design kind of at the same time as I was doing Troublemaker. 'Cause, you know, Troublemaker doesn't work all year round,
That's
so
right. That we kind of skipped a step there. There
yeah.
was
Well, I mean,
some
yeah, there was
interim
always
work.
an in between. I mean, you only you kind of rise at a company so far, and then you
Hmm.
either start to displace people or you move on. And at some point, I had kind of reached that limit over at
Right.
Troublemaker, and was sort of looking at outside work and doing more freelancing. Um, which I like doing. I like freelancing. It's just there's like a quote unquote hustle. You have to sort of hustle.
Yeah.
And it's like you're
Yeah.
having to always be
That's
worried.
the biggest problem with
You
the
know,
industry is
yeah,
that you're always having to go from check to check.
yeah,
And there's never that stability of a regular 9 to 5.
yeah. There's no consistency to it, and it really is pretty scary. And if you don't have a deep network of people that you can rely on and that rely on you, then it's really hard to maintain financial stability.
Yeah.
So
I have ruined many a friendship because of stuff like that.
yeah, I mean it's not easy.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I did commercials for a long time. So a lot of national TV commercials that you've probably seen, have my props and work and hidden away. And I don't even remember how many commercials I've done at this point. Probably 100 or more.
Wow.
I don't even remember.
How long is a shoot like that? Like a regular movie shoot is probably about 2, maybe 3 months if you're going long.
Well,
How long is a
it really
commercial shoot?
depends on the shoot. Every movie's different. And depending
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean usually months is for a feature, a month or more for
That's
features.
true. I do mean more for like the
Yeah,
actual talent and shooting portion, not necessarily including pre and post.
yeah. I mean, that's right. This is all in how you're what how much of a movie you're really considering in production.
Yes.
But yes, commercials usually only last a week. You do a 2 or 3 day shoot. You got a 2 to 5 day prep,
Hmm.
a day of wrap. So a week, barely over a week or more.
It's very quick, very
So
rapid.
and it's kind of nice though because you can bank a lot of money and then you move on and you're done and you're just like okay, this one's done and gone
I can
and
totally see that.
I'm moving on.
Hmm.
So
Can't wait to
so
see that when it comes out, on YouTube or whatever.
well, the sad thing is usually it'll air on television before the paycheck arrives. Television
Oh,
a lot of television commercials are net 30, and net 30 just means it's going to take a month for you to get paid.
right.
And sometimes these commercials have a turnaround of 6 to 10 days, and you can see the commercial in 10 days from having worked on it or less sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, we did a Super Bowl HEB Super Bowl commercial, and it was like Millie's Jams. I think you can probably YouTube it even.
Huh.
It's like it was like a local products commercial for HEB, and they showed it during the Super Bowl. And I think we did it maybe 4 days before the Super Bowl. We filmed it, and a couple of days later, it's already on the air. And here we
People
are
were enjoying it,
three
and you're just
weeks
like,
later, and I still haven't even gotten paid.
yeah,
So, but either way, but that's
that's par for the course.
yeah, that's how it goes. So I did commercial production design, art direction for a long time, and I want to say I got an email from someone else who didn't want wasn't interested. Like somebody that I used to make props for,
Hmm.
like another art director for commercials that used to employ me to make specialty items for them. Said, hey, I got these people who want this stuff and it's totally up your alley but I don't want to do it. So here you deal with this email.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And it was actually when I opened it up, and it was some sketches and some like concept design for the laser blaster from Lazer Team. Only they
Really?
were, yeah, but they were very simple, not at all, what we landed on in the movie, but the idea was sort of generated there and for me to see.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. That's more interesting than anything I've done in a year or more. I was just like, that seems like something I'd want to do. So,
Yeah.
just on a whim, and I at the time I was kind of in the mentality of just being like, no, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. And so this was really the only thing that stuck out in a while that was like, hey, this looks like it might be fun. This,
Right.
you know,
Was it because you kind of had the freedom to be able to do that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying. It was like at that point doing commercials, you could kind of pick and choose. There was enough of them that you were just
Yeah.
like, ooh, this sounds terrible, or it sounds like, no, I don't.
No way. I am not going to put a woman in a tub of milk. That's just no.
Oh no, we did that. We've already
Oh,
done
yeah.
that. Yeah, no, we did. What did I do? We did I think it was it was some sort of a commercial for Verizon Wireless, and we had a guy in a in a in a in a pool of milk, and we'd made a giant chocolate chip cookie, like an 8-foot chocolate chip cookie.
I knew I didn't pull that
And
example out of the
yeah,
ether. I
yeah, we really did do that. We had I think a guy named Ray, a local actor out of Austin named Ray. What's Ray's last name? Nah, doesn't matter.
yeah.
Anyway,
Probably not that one.
so Ray was in milk, and it wasn't even milk. It was like cornstarch and water
Oh, yeah.
because milk was way too expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, we needed it.
Isn't that the stuff that if you mix it in the right consistency, it makes the plasmid type solution?
Yes, the non-Newtonian fluids.
Yes.
Yes. But it's more of a paste. But yes, you can do that with cornstarch. But if you just put a little bit in water, it looks like milk.
Yeah.
It just turns it opaque. But yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
No, no worries. It was mainly that I was, doing nothing but commercials and just feeling like, this is so not, fun.
Yeah.
And so when I saw Space Gun in an email, I was like, wow. I was like, this sounds fun.
I actually didn't realize that Lazer Team was the first thing that they approached you for. I thought it was iBlade.
Well, it all kind of happened in a meeting. So I came in and met with Doreen and Bernie and Matt and Brandon and Chris. Who else?
Just everybody.
Yeah, like virtually everybody was like
Josh Flanagan.
No, Josh wasn't there. It was Brandon, Chris, Bernie, Matt, and Doreen. I think it was like 5 or 6 people. Anyway, yeah, we had a pretty good handful, and I think Gus was there too. Actually, yeah, Gus was there. Anyway, and they brought me in and they said, here's what we do. This is what we're about, and we don't really know how to move forward with some things that we want to do soon, and we need an art department person to kind of just help us deal with this. And so, essentially, they showed me this and they said, we need someone to make this, but we don't know who can do that. And I said, well, I can probably do that, but you need more than just a prop person. I was like,
Yeah.
you can't just find just somebody to make stuff. You need somebody to help you sort of hone your whole direction, and it needs to be art directed. We can't just, do you have who's your production designer was like my question.
They probably shuffled the feet a little bit.
So that I could direct my questions to them, because I was like, well, what is this space prop supposed to be? Because they showed me all these drawings, but they wouldn't give me very much information, because at the time they were being very secretive about Lazer Team and were not really talking to anyone, I guess, besides me, I guess.
I mean, this would have been before the Kickstarter and before everything. This would have been like March of last year.
No, this was in February of this was like in January or February of last year. And they were like, they wouldn't tell me anything about the script. They wouldn't tell me anything. They just told me there was a laser blaster. And I was like, okay, well, this sounds interesting. And then they were like, oh, and by the way, there's 4 other things that, or 3 other things that go along with it, to make a full suit. And I was like, a suit?
And suddenly the eyebrows start going up a little.
I was like, what are you guys doing? What is this? And even then they were like, well, they were very not,
Of course.
with
Yeah, very
and
close to the chest.
yes, they
Because
were
that's
like,
that I mean,
stop
that is what
looking
they
at
do.
anything. And so I said, okay, I get the whole need to know thing,
Hmm.
and we don't have to play games. I'll sign an NDA. Just tell me, like I need information to do this correctly. Like
Right.
you know what I mean? I'm a professional. Just tell me what's going on so that I can help you.
Now, I
Uh,
imagine that was probably one of the more attractive things about you in particular is that you have had over a decade of experience
yeah,
in the legitimate movie business, and you bring that to the table.
right. I mean, that's why that's exactly why I was involved. It's because they were like, we need somebody that has enough experience to really help us put us in the right direction. And so I was like, okay, you guys are in desperate need of an art director, and
Yeah.
do you want someone in that position? Because I was just kind of like, I'm not super interested in just making your props anymore. It's just like, I
This
mean,
sounds like something you really want to kind of
yeah,
sink your teeth
I
into.
was like, if you just really making props is where I got my start. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And as you rise in art department, you go from making things to managing people making things, and it's different. It's a different kind of work, and it's something that I've grown to really like. And even though I
Yeah.
love making things, that was really more where my professional experience was at that point, and it's where I would wanted to stay. So
I imagine the ability to surround yourself with people even more talented than you are and be able to kind of point all of the tendrils in the right direction is a very good and very powerful thing.
well, I mean, it's just nice that I'm able to use all the people that I've been friends with and have been working alongside. And
Hmm.
when you're in a working relationship with other people who are really talented, you all get to know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and
Right.
you kind of know where everyone should be used and how they should be used, so that everyone can get the best out of everyone. And so, along the way, I was always really good about being like, wow, you're really, really good at that. And, made a mental note, and I was
To
like,
come back to later because you
if
never
we,
know when
yeah,
little things like that will come in handy.
yeah, oh yeah. And I was like, wow, okay, so if I ever need that again, I'm going to call you, kind of a
Hmm.
thing. And that's just been the best thing is like, okay, just try to come up with a really great crew of people that you can count on and respect you. And that's one of the other reasons that I did well here was just because I had done virtually everything in our department at least once.
Right.
It's like I've been a set dresser, I've been a furniture mover, I've been the truck driver, I've been the PA, I've had to go get the coffee, I've gotten the donuts too.
Yeah.
It's like, and I've managed a department, and it's just people have seen me in positions that they felt like, okay, this guy is one of us.
Hmm.
It's kind of like I'm not just the person who's the head of the department that's been in the head of the department the whole time. This is somebody that we've been working with the whole time.
Yeah,
And if there's
it's
anybody who I want telling me how to do something, it's someone who knows.
to
You
put it
know.
into military terms because that's kind of the closest rank type thing. It would be the
Yeah.
difference between like an officer and like a master sergeant.
Sure.
Someone who was
Just
kind of school trained to do this, and then someone who has been in the freaking trenches and worked their way all the way up.
well, and the beauty of that is also I was school trained, but then started at the bottom, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
both.
it's like I got a little bit of all that, and I
Yeah.
think that's mostly where that's it's made being a person, like a people manager, quite a bit easier. Is already having that rapport with my crew, already having
Mhm.
that sort of like buddy mentality with those crew members already, so that
Absolutely.
when there's an issue or someone deserves accolades, then I'm not shy about it. I'm
Right.
like, you this was amazing. Thank you. This was, great
You
job.
already have a rapport established. There's no reason to kind of feel awkward to come up and say, "Hey, look, I need you to try a little bit harder tomorrow," or "Hey, look, you did fucking amazing today. Come in tomorrow and kick that much ass."
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of those people on Laser Team. All those, a lot of the people that I worked alongside for Robert, came over and worked
Hmm.
for us, and that was really pretty cool. So,
I absolutely love Bob.
oh yeah, Bob Trevino, he's
Yep.
great. Yeah, Bob's been around a lot longer than me, and he's the reason he's brought on is because I was like, if there's anybody whose opinion I trust, who's going to keep us safe, and still look great, and is a creative thinker.
Right.
You know, it's like he's a creative problem solver, and even if we don't necessarily have the means to do what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
he always has creative ideas and solutions for things that come up.
I will
And
never
that's
forget
really
the
it's really
process of making that cannon.
Oh, wait, which one?
The working laser cannon.
Oh yes, the working one. Oh yeah, he did a brilliant job on, and what a nice like bridge of departments we had there too.
Yeah.
You know, with props department doing all the other parts
I
and
seem to remember
functions.
there being a little behind the scenes something about that.
Maybe. I
I
mean,
don't as one of the laser team backer perks, but I don't remember.
yeah. I mean, they talked about special effects department, and there was a little blurb, and they had like 15
Yeah.
seconds of footage maybe of us doing stuff. But yeah. I mean, there's people don't understand how much goes into stuff like that. I mean, people really don't get it. They just assume, oh, there was some people and they made this movie. No, it's like people probably took years off their life,
Yeah.
being stressed about some silly detail in this movie.
That in the end
Oh,
may end up on the cutting room floor. Like seriously,
I
you
know.
work for hours and days and months sometimes on this thing, and it ends up being like, oh, we don't need that scene anymore. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
Yeah.
we have scenes from Laser Team, whole pages of scenes cut that
But
you
that
know
that is
probably
every
cost
movie.
a lot.
Yeah, and that's what that's what ends up as deleted scenes and director's cuts and extended editions, and I mean that
Yeah,
happens every movie.
but it won't have any special effects, or it won't have
Yeah.
any visual effects. It'll just be like raw footage, and it'll never be able to really be. I guess maybe they could do a director's cut, but it means having to pay the VFX artist again to
Yeah.
do those little blurbs, and I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's how it goes, man. I mean,
So,
I did True Grit, and we worked for 3 months and made an entire village, and it was right in front of the train tracks, and they pulled telephone poles, power poles, so they wouldn't be in the shot. We covered entire buildings. We put 6 inches of dirt in 6 blocks in every direction
Yep.
from the point where we shot from, and all for the first 7 seconds of the movie, when they reveal the town, a train fills frame and then pulls away, and that's it. That's it. That's everything that I did for 3 months
the
of my
establishing
life.
shot.
Yeah, was the opening sequence with like the beginning credits, and like the director's name and top billing and stuff
Yep.
like that. And I just remember being like, oh, I can't wait to see what we did in the movie. And then it's like, oh, it's
It's the
there,
opening.
it's over.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And I was like, all right.
But anyway, so backtracking a little bit, let's go back to iBlade because that was actually a really
Okay.
interesting shoot. And you want to talk about the process that you kind of go through making some of the props that we made for that, like the armor that came out and the dragon that we ended up making out of a light and a fog machine and things like that.
Sure. Okay.
What kind of, I guess, when you go about making a special effect or a prop or a functioning something like that, what process do you use?
Well, I mean, really, it's budget usually. That's usually the first. Well, it depends. If you were on a endless budgeted project, then you've got you've got a lot of decision making to make. Is this, how realistic do we go? Is it practical? Is it a visual effect? I mean, those are always the first questions when it comes to stuff that isn't normal, or is like guaranteed to need to be an effect.
Right.
So but the first question is always, how much money do we have? And
Yeah.
and if we don't have a lot, then you have to come up with
do.
ways for things to be off screen, like the dragon and the fire and the red lighting. You do kind of Hitchcockian, where you don't really reveal the thing. You just sort of infer, and you show as much as you can, and then you resort to, jump cuts.
There's the famous tale of, Steven Spielberg and the shark from Jaws. I mean,
yeah, well, and he was in a real pickle because he knew what it looked like and knew it looked bad.
yeah,
It's one thing to never want to go there and save money, and that's a smart decision. But to have invested all the money to have it be real and it looks so bad that you'd prefer not to see it, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously the guy's pretty damn good at what he does, and he figured out a way to make it okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely testament to, and how good that he had a critical enough eye to be willing to cut it. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
That he wasn't just like, oh, no way, we spent $30,000 on this. We need to shoot it.
Yeah.
He was like, it looks terrible.
If so,
like
if some executive producer had had their way, they would have just used it anyway.
Oh, sure. No, the producer would have been like, no way, you're not cut.
Yeah.
Probably, they would be mad.
Are you kidding me?
The producer he probably was too. Like the producer probably was mad that they were cutting it. But, I mean, that was a good decision, and
it ended up working out just fine, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Worked out.
And the same for
good,
iBlade. I mean, that particular scene worked out really great. Jack tossed the guy in. The focus is elsewhere. You can't get hung up on those little details, especially when people are looking here.
Yeah, they have a tendency to look at eyes, and that's how a lot of things get hidden away. And that's helpful.
You do your magician's tricks of misdirection.
Yeah, exactly. You hope that people are paying attention to the main action and the characters that they care about.
Yep.
Not about how
did he get that arrow in his hand to shoot out the bow? Don't worry about that.
Exactly. But we had a pretty good dummy. We had a pretty good doll. Not doll, I guess, like an effects dummy that we had for Brad. It looked quite a bit like him, and it worked really well. So,
oh god,
that was
I
enough.
Love that fucking thing. God,
we just made the effect about the dummy and less about the fire and the dragon. You know what I mean? So it's worked. Let's see, and then the swords, man. I had really big plans for the swords, but we just didn't have money to make them. Out of a CNC mill, but.
Right.
The gaming company sent us the 3D files, so we have a 3D model of every weapon that they have in the game, and we're prepared to make some 3D models milled out of wood or foam that had been faux finished and painted and all that. But I mean, this was
time being what it is, and
it was just like we just didn't have $10,000 to blow on just props.
Yeah.
We just didn't. And it was like, okay, well, how can we get the best of both worlds here? So we ended up printing the JPEG files, the source files from, that they were using to layer onto the 3D model to make it look like a real thing. We just printed those on vinyl, which, essentially is a giant sticker. And then we profile cut some PVC board, then routed the edges.
Kind of using that same 3D model.
Yeah, we're real close. I mean, we got about as close to a 3D model as we could have without actually using one.
I mean, yeah.
Close.
As someone who gets to hold one of those things whenever I walk into the damn prop room, they're pretty freaking awesome. Like,
they're pretty tough. The PVC is pretty tough considering, and we knew that they wanted to hit these.
They were not exactly light by the end of it.
No, well, and they got really good at it, and they got really sort of comfortable in using it. And then I think at one point, one of them broke, and it glued back together, and then we went for another 4 days without problem.
I totally forgot that one of the swords totally broke.
Yeah, and I think every once in a while they'd miss and they'd hit each other, and then they would be like, ah, yeah, I'm okay.
Yep. We're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, and then they would be like, okay, moving on.
Oh god, that was an intense shoot, but that was one of those where you kind of have the trial by fire aspect, and then you would get into it, and you're like, you know what, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, there were some little things that I would have done a little bit different, but they were things they went against what Josh and Chris wanted, so they didn't make any reason for me to try to, go to bat for these details. I was like, well, it's your project, I'll do whatever you guys want. So, but
And
yeah,
so
iBlade was like the tester. So I first talked with them about Lazer Team. That was my initial contact with them. But you could tell they were like, well, we need to try this guy out, and
yeah,
and we can't just do Lazer Team right now. So how do we just see what this guy's about and if he fits well with the company? So we did iBlade, we did day 5, and then sir, no, I think it was day 5,
those,
and then
yeah.
and then we went right into Lazer Team in, I think, September of last year.
I want to say that right after day 5 was RTX. And so it was boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and then I took a little vacation. I remember going to the beach in Corpus, and then when I came back,
it was Lazer Team
yeah,
time.
It was pretty much Lazer Team.
And we did that up until about November, December. November for me, December for you. I did Fusion Confusion, and then we came back together for Order 1886.
Yes, and I don't remember when that was, but it was like January of this year.
Yeah, January, February this year.
Yeah.
One of those two.
And February is when I started full time. So,
and that was actually very much kind of like a field trip. Kids away from home, like it was very.
Did 1886? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I wish there had been a scene at the Renaissance Fair, and I think it would have been more fun. Like if it had been in the middle of Renaissance Fair, and we just happened to have been over in that area shooting, it would have been great, because then you could have just wandered off, and
gotten a turkey leg, anything if damn well please.
Yeah, you could just wandered away and get lost in there and come
back.
That
place was very, very creepy when no one is. Okay, so a little bit of setup.
Creepy at night. I will tell you that. When we tried to get out that last night, were you there? You may have.
Yeah.
Were you? Did you get stuck?
Oh, I was there
on the last night.
Oh yeah, we went around that place. Okay, so a little bit of setup. We went to Magnolia, Texas, to a Renaissance fairground whose name escapes me at the moment, and I apologize to them. But
oh yeah, I don't know.
It's a pretty major one, and it's one of the few that's like right outside of Houston. Google it, people. I will later. Anyway,
yeah, I think it was just Texas Renaissance Fair, like Texas Renaissance Fairgrounds or something like that.
Yeah, and so it was Chris and Josh, Blaine, you, me. A couple of
Aaron was there.
Chris Combs, a couple of other people as
Aaron
crew
Marquis.
members.
Well, Aaron was the director. So
yeah, Aaron Marquis
was there.
Absolutely. And we were all kind of on a field trip away from home without any parents.
I like that kind. I love on location shooting.
Ditto.
Because it was I have an excuse to sort of be out out of town kind of a feel. I don't mind that stuff at all.
To me, it kind of felt very much like the first time for that kind of experience, and it was very cool to have been a part of that and for it to have gone as well as it did. And so we were out shooting at this fairground that was not in use because it was all season, and it was very like Lost Boys Ghost Towny, where all of the various huts and stuff with the facades in the front looked like kids' tree forts from the back, with bare door frames with sheets hanging from them, and hatch locks that were kind of broken through and rusted with time. It was very spooky when you actually got down to the minute details of the place. But I imagine during season, it's probably festive and great and awesome.
Oh yeah, during the day when people are walking around and all their costuming, and it's great. I mean it's.
I've never actually been to a Renaissance fair.
Oh, they're fun. I mean, everybody gives people, kind of pokes fun at that whole scene, but really, I mean, it's like people get really particular about their costumes and take great care in like the weapons.
I mean, it's another kind of cosplay.
Yeah,
and so much as the anime people do, and so much as the people who play after video games do, it is an obsession.
Yeah, no, people really,
of the healthiest
really get into it, and I remember in junior high and high school having gone to those. For like school, like a school field trip, like you said, kind of like just and being really impressed with the scene and being like, wow, I mean, these people are taking this really seriously. This isn't just some, I'll just whip together a costume.
Yeah.
This is like,
I am so excited for RTX. for that reason.
Yeah,
Like,
it should be
it's
fun.
always so impressive.
Yeah, it's mostly Halo, but I feel like we'll probably get some Laser Team stuff this year. I bet.
I imagine so. And I will say, I love the Star Wars people always come out.
Oh, the 501st.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
They're fucking great.
really, all those little like maker crews are pretty cool, and a lot of those guys go on to do movie stuff. And movie people typically also get involved in those groups because when they're not making movies, they like to do that stuff too.
Absolutely. And also, they're kind of the first people that get called by movie people when they need those kinds of props and such.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, really, if we had ever had got to do a Star Wars thing, they'd be the first people we'd want. Like, we need you and everybody with one of those to be here on this day.
Yep.
So,
and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and same with who's the Halo? The Halo one.
I forget their unit.
Man, they're gonna
unit name.
Somebody's in the group right now cursing me. Sorry, Halo Maker group.
So were you involved in shaft shots?
Yes, but there wasn't a whole lot of. I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of art department for that. But yes, I was. I mean, really, any of the live action shoots that would require anything other than shooting in an office is usually I'm having to do something.
Right.
So shaft shots. We basically.
I want to say that was the one that was shot right before I actually started full time, so I kind of missed the boat on that one.
Gotcha. I think we did. It was real light on our department, but yeah, I mean, we used the same bar and we dressed it as a coffee shop from one angle, and a bar from the other, so we wouldn't have to go to two locations. I think that's pretty much all I did. There wasn't a whole lot to do on that one.
Yeah, I love the Gus with where he holds up one and then he pulls up the cucumber and he's like, oh god, he surprises himself.
Yeah, me and Daniel just went to the grocery store and we just walked around until I just said, hey, let's just go to HEB. We'll get a cart and we'll just tool around until we find the perfect phallus in the vegetable department. And we got some odd looks and we were having some very serious discussions in the middle of HEB about things that were clearly,
phallic in nature,
not serious. People were like, "What are these guys up to?"
Listen, art department makes you have some of the best grocery store runs of all time.
Yeah.
That is 100% fact.
That's true. Well, when we were on True Grit, me and another guy, BJ, who was a scenic, we were both scenics. A scenic is just film industry term for a painter, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Fancy term. I'm a scenic artist.
I like to paint scenes instead of I paint walls.
Painting scenery.
Yeah.
So we were working as scenics, and part of our job was to smear plaster on these walls to make them look hand plastered.
Right.
Only it got to be so. We were trying to work very quickly, and we wanted to be done with the plaster portion of the job. So it became much faster to use our hands than it did to use trowels. So we would just, scoop this stuff out of the 5-gallon bucket as quickly as we could with our hands and smear it on. Only after a couple of hours of this, the lye in the plaster started to burn our hands quite a bit. And so we were like, let's go find a remedy. So
maybe, yeah.
So we went. This is awful. We went to the, and this is in the middle of Granger, Texas, which, if you don't know, is probably very small town, conservative, Christian conservative, very not,
very red, basically.
Just like very uptight in the way that they think, and we were in there in this little convenience store, and there were probably some 20-something. 18 to 22-year-old girls that were both, working at the counter. And we wanted something specific to help, which is basically we wanted vinegar and lotion.
Right.
And
Because acids. I mean, you
Right.
want the vinegar to neutralize the
Correct.
basicness of the lye, and then the lotion to kind of help moisturize your skin and
You
keep the
got it.
water in.
So that's what we needed. So we needed the vinegar to counteract all the burn. And so we placed, you know, the biggest bottle of vinegar they had, and the only lotion thing that they had in the entire store. And I mean, it was like a gas station convenience store. It was not a grocery store.
Oh my god.
And what was, I have to hand it to the girls because they had balls. They didn't even they didn't even beat around the bush. They were like, "What you guys want lotion and vinegar for?" With these,
You should just show them the burns on your hands and be like, this is what we want it for. And they'll be like, oh God, take it.
yeah. I mean, that was pretty much. But it was, you could see like they were eyeing us the whole time, and we didn't pick out sodas or snacks or anything. It's like all
There was no diversionary tactics.
yeah, there was no distractionary product.
Yeah.
You know, it was all just like vinegar and lotion, please. And they were like, "What the hell you boys want vinegar and lotion for? That is weird."
I got a sunburn. I need to take care.
They were really creeped out by it. They were really creeped out, and we just sort of laughed it off, and you know, but you know, what are you gonna do? But yeah, that was pretty funny.
And so more recently, there have been Jeremy's music videos.
Jeremy's music videos have been pretty fun. It's a new little thing that Achievement Hunter is doing. I'm assuming that the attention that Jeremy's song got during Let's Play Live is what kind of spawned all this.
TOP, the Tower Pimps rap.
Yeah, and it sounds like Jeremy and another guy kind of worked on this album a while back, and it's just sort of something they've been kicking around. And that's kind of where that came from.
I love when little pet projects end up blowing up into something like that.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, that's, you know, all good. That's any content. Good content can come from anywhere, and Rooster Teeth knows that, and they're pretty savvy to pay attention to things like that. Yeah. So yeah, no surprise.
And so then when you had the second one, the game fails, where we ended up turning the conference room into a living room in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And made it look fucking fantastic, in my opinion.
I mean, it looked pretty good considering it was our conference.
To be fair, we're totally biased in that sense.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we had a couple of hours turnaround.
We busted our asses to make that one happen.
Yeah, and you know, it's always like that.
Yes, absolutely. The thing is, you would not do the job if you didn't absolutely love every second of it, because it's so demanding. I mean, normal people don't allow work to take up that much of their mental space, but we do, because we love the job, we love the results, we love the people, we love every minuscule step of the process so much that you put yourself through anything.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have put up with all the abuse up until now that I've been through if I didn't really like doing it. So yeah, no, this is what I love to do. So
bad days on set happen, whether your budget is $15 million, $100 million, or $100,000.
Oh yeah, no, there's always, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and so you have to be prepared to deal with everything, and you have to love it in order to be able to do that. But yeah, so one of the more recent ones would be like Bing Car, with Joel, where we had to turn poor Steffi's car into.
Oh, don't poor Steffi. She's a good sport. But
she was totally a trooper. But we had to leave those logos on way longer than we wanted to.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Well, we had something in mind for it, and the rain really was the only thing that changed our plans. But yeah, Steffi's car was perfect. I mean,
I loved the little rig that you made for the top of it.
The rig on top. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's what makes that's the fun part. You know, is making those silly little things.
What was that?
We started with the bike rack. You know, just your standard bike rack, and then I think we zip tied, or I screwed. Or I bolted a piece of plywood that's painted black, and then I went to Toys R Us and just bought an assortment of plastic things, like it was a Tonka truck with the truck bed removed. Then on top of that was a children's lawnmower toy that was like, a children's miniature lawnmower
Yeah.
that I removed the arms from. And then on top of that was a child's star projector. So it would project a star pattern on your ceiling
Yeah.
at night, kind of a nightlight thing. That was the
But it gave that big giant camera look.
Yeah, it had the big ball with a lens attached to it, and I was like, oh, it's so funny. Like, it already looks ridiculous, and the whole trick with that was parting it all together, screwing it all in, and making it a unit, and then painting it all black.
Right.
Usually, you can compile in an additive process, sculpture kind of a thing, and do additive processing, get all these pieces added together, and then once you unify the color, typically a lot of the things that you've compiled look nothing like what they actually are.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, is to just sort of
I absolutely love when something like that happens.
Frankenstein, like Frankenstein parts until it's something else.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The other good example is the blunderbuss from the Order 1886 short.
Yeah, the blunderbuss for that was just a combination of, I guess, 3 different guns. There's a pretty good I can't remember the guy's name, but he runs a little prop shop and sells mostly steampunk items. And we bought a couple of different guns from him just to have for 1886 because we thought they would make sense. It was like, we might need a weapon or two, and these will be good source material. And we shot, I think, both of them as singles in one way. And once they were established and done, we kind of needed a third option for a gun. We didn't have one. So I was like, well, what are we gonna do?
All we have left are ones that look a little bit more real, and we got some daggers. Do you want daggers? We got plenty of daggers.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so let's just make a gun out of the parts that we have. So I think we cherry picked all the good stuff from.
Yeah. I want to say it was the little kind of rifle pistol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the rifle pistol, and then we Frankensteined the Vuvuzuela, which if no one knows is basically from like World Cup soccer, that horrible noise that you hear.
The giant horn.
Yeah. That. That was the blunderbuss portion, and that's just simple, dead simple. It's just painted black with some silver. It's just,
you can't get much more obvious than that. You see the thing and you see the gun, and you're like, these two things belong together.
Yeah, they looks good, and really, I use plumber's putty, which is a 2-part epoxy putty, and it's sold at Home Depot, and they make more art in like art-oriented versions of that, and it's called Sculpey-Pox, or Zoopoxy is another one.
Right.
There's lots of products. It's basically an epoxy polymer putty. You mix the two portions together, and it hardens up in 10 minutes or whatever. And I just use that stuff. Once you get things glued and it looks pretty good, the parts look good, you have to kind of transition one area to another, and usually
that's when you pick apart a few pieces here, a few pieces there.
You fill it in and put some putty on there, and then you kind of sculpt it to match and fade from one thing to another, and kind of blend the things together. So yeah, the blunderbuss, that was fun. That was another fun thing. Yeah, I made a lot of fun things already, I guess.
And so your influence hasn't necessarily been limited to on-set stuff. You've also done a lot of shit around the office. The kitchen remodeling, the no area remodeling, the Gus and Barbara's office remodeling, as well as our new lovely, amazing arcade cabinet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, you can't just be... can't be a unitasker or a one-trick pony at Rooster Teeth. You have to kind of be able to do a lot of different things, and it's what makes you valuable as an employee in general. And this goes for any job. Like, if people are wanting to get a job, this is the best way, to get in good with a company and stay there and have it be good for you, is to be able to wear a lot of different hats.
Yeah, if you can be the most valuable that you can.
Yeah, if you can give 4 employees worth of value and in the efficiency of one person, and then you just became a lot more valuable, and you're going to get paid what you want to get paid.
Yep.
And you're going to,
because you're going to be worth it.
Exactly, and the days are going to be different every day. You're going to have something interesting and new to deal with every day. It's not going to be the same monotonous cubicle like work. TPS reports, nothing like that. It's always going to be different. And I think that's really one of the things that I really, really like about the industry is that I don't really know what it's going to be like from day to day, and things sort of change and are fresh and new all the time,
That's, I think that is a fantastic sentiment, and I agree 100%. And I think that's a wonderful place to start to round out the end of our program. Man,
cool.
I don't think you could have said it much better. I have always enjoyed the Inside the Actor Studios method of ending on the personality type questionnaire.
Yeah.
So I, too, have a reappropriated version of the Proust personality questionnaire, and it goes a little something like this. Marcus, what is your favorite word?
Oh, wow. Now I'm really on the spot here.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, favorite word. Alliteration. I like that word.
Busy because it has a nice alliteration.
Well, and I usually I tweet, I use that a lot too. I'll be like, I use S a lot. I use M a lot. I use F a lot. I don't know why. There you go.
What is your least favorite word?
Least favorite word? Hate.
Fair enough. What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, well, right now my little girls make a squealing noise, like when I'm unlocking the door, but I haven't gotten inside the house yet. I hear these little, I can't even really make that frequency, but it's very high pitched, and it usually puts a really big smile on my face because it means that I'm gonna get sort of showered with hugs. So, yes,
you gotta love it.
My little girl's squealing noises.
You imagine the Calvin and Hobbes where Hobbes is just waiting behind the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Well, and yeah, that's my favorite noise.
What sound do you hate?
Oh, geez. Okay, so Adam Ellis's fan sometimes makes a noise in 2 rooms over, and it somehow magically transports itself right to the corner of my office.
I don't think I've ever heard this noise.
There's like a thread, like stuck in the motor, and it's like yeah.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. I'll have to listen for that next one.
I think we got it. I think last week I went in there and I was like, Adam, I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I was like, there's a thing in your fan, and it's gonna make me lose my mind if we don't remove it.
What did he say?
And he just sort of shot me a look, and I was like, I'm sorry, it's making a funny noise, and I'm gonna lose my mind. and he was like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. And so he bent down and yanked a thread or something out of it, and the noise stopped, and it all went away. So,
that's amazing.
Things are right with the world again. There's some sounds I can't get rid of. Like I can't ignore them. They're too too pervasive.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. What hero do you identify with the most?
Oh wow. Well, it depends on how you would define hero. But I'm gonna go with my dad on this one. Actually, my dad is probably my main influence. He's a graphic designer and illustrator. Has been his whole life. And he's who kind of gave me permission and gave me the sensibility and to be like, yes, you can be an artist. Like you can be a maker, be a creator, and be able to survive and not be, like I don't have to work in an oil field, because I grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas, which there's not a lot of opportunity there. I mean,
yeah, right.
You're either going to work in a refinery, you're going to work in a restaurant, or
but it's pretty much
you're going to work at the naval base or something. And I just was like, I couldn't really see myself at any of those places, and I was just like, always feeling like art was where my talent and interests always were. And my dad always gave me the sense like you can do whatever you want. If that's what you want to do, then he wasn't judging. And I know that his parents were to him. Like my grandparents, like his mom and dad were a mechanic like a gas station mechanic and a seamstress.
Ooh,
So
yeah,
it's kind
no,
of
they
like,
would be very hard on
and they were
on a
like,
graphic designer.
"You want to do what?
You want to draw for a
Yeah,
living?
you want to draw cartoons for a living? You know?" Like my dad basically wanted to work for Disney his whole life, and that was kind of like where he would have been or I don't know. Yeah, that's where he would have liked to have been. But
Right.
so yeah, my dad, definitely my dad.
What villain?
What villain do I identify with? Oh wow. I don't know. Man, that's a really good question. I haven't even really been trying to think of something I've been watching lately or something that I would identify with, but the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, of course. There's my
I love it. Yeah.
yeah.
You're just gonna torture all of downtown New York.
Yeah, well, my parallel there was the first thing that comes to mind, and then that was my.
Oh God, I got it. Yep, there it was. Now we're on the same page.
Yeah, that was my Ghostbusters reference to not being put on the spot, not knowing. He's like,
Yep.
oh well, yeah. So.
Oh God, I'm actually tentatively, cautiously okay with the new remake. The all-female Ghostbusters. We'll see. Like I'm absolutely reserving judgment until I see it. But everything I've seen so far.
I mean, we're not talking about a serious, series here. I mean, we're talking.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about as goofball slapstick. I mean that might as well have been an SNL movie. It wasn't, But I mean, it's like the closest thing that the '80s had, I guess, to an SNL movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't see anything wrong with it, really. I mean, at this point, it's completely different people. It's not trying to be the old movie, but now,
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this is just another installment in this universe, and I think that's acceptable. Like,
as long as the movie ends up standing up on its own.
Like it's a comedy. It's just
that's all you can ask for.
This isn't the Bourne Identity, or whatever.
Yeah, or
wait a minute.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, just like that.
Making or all-female Schindler's List. Like, yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean.
I think it'll be funny. I'll go watch it. So it'll be.
So branching kind of off of that, what would be your superpower?
Oh wow, superpower would definitely be slow down time a little. I think I've always, when you're a little kid and you're always like, oh, if I could just freeze time, like that was, and that kind of still holds weight. I'm always just like, would love to just hit the pause button once in a while.
Just get that extra little bit.
Yeah, maybe just for some extra sleep.
Oh God, got it. Oh yeah.
A little extra time on a project, maybe.
There was an episode of Dexter's Lab that was one of my favorites. Dexter invents a helmet that lets you turn 30 seconds into 30 minutes. And it sounds like the most amazing invention ever. And he speeds everywhere, and he like runs to the shower faster than he's ever run before. And he turns on the shower, and the water's coming out really slow. So he like has to reach and grab the drops and like rub them all over himself. And then he starts to go, and he's like, "Oh, I need to do my homework." And he starts to do his homework. But he's writing so fast, the friction makes his paper catch on fire. And he's like, "Oh my God, I gotta." So I mean, it was really cool, kind of seeing the ramifications of something like that.
Yeah. Dexter's Laboratory is always. I always thought that was a great cartoon. Mm-hmm. The concept of that's really solid.
A lot of Genndy Tartakovsky stuff, really was.
Yeah, no, it was like Dexter's Laboratory is always sort of hidden philosophy, in there,
Yeah,
sort of.
And then him and Craig McCracken were kind of my two favorite animators at the time.
Very cool concepts. I
think it very much shows that they're favorites of some of our animators as well in certain series that we do.
Well, and I have like Crick Falusi, which is basically Ren and Stimpy. I don't know if you remember Ren and Stimpy.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah.
That was when. Actually, Ren and Stimpy was probably when I realized that cartoons didn't have to be a certain way. Yeah. That really sort of like, was like, oh, it can be crazy and like
it can be.
It doesn't have to match. Like remember how the extreme close-ups of things were nothing like what the characters.
Yeah, they were cartoon characters all drawn out, and then it's like holy crap. And SpongeBob does it now.
Yeah, and in the past there was a very strict methodology on how characters were to be portrayed at certain angles.
Hmm.
And like, oh, they need to, at 3/4, the nose needs to not ever go past the cheek line.
Right.
Little things that animators do to keep their characters consistent and always looking right. And Crick Falusi and Ren and Stimpy just totally threw that out the window. They were
You would have them do stuff like the eyes would poke around and then the nose would poke around,
yeah, and
and just weird things.
Stimpy would have, well, both of them would have completely different looks depending on the emotion given. So it was like all of a sudden when they were sad, they would take on the huge puppy dog eye look, and then when they were mad, it would go into like evil, completely evil demon, version of them. And I just remember that cartoon sort of changing the way that I thought about how cartoons could be.
Yeah.
And then there was this huge wave of that, and now that's totally mainstream. You look on Adult Swim and Cartoon Network, even the kids' cartoons that would have 10 or 15 years ago been considered adult because it was so strange and not.
I mean, I distinctly remember kids, some of my kids that I grew up with, friends that I grew up with, kids that whatever, were not able to watch Ren and Stimpy because their parents thought it was too adult in their humor.
Well, and some of it what really was. I mean, it's like, I don't think Nickelodeon showed all the episodes. There were some particular episodes that were without a doubt adult, content. And
but I agree. Like, animation is one of those things that for a long time was considered to be a specific child's form that was able to tell these kind of stories and nothing more.
Yeah.
But animation to me has always been one of the most viable forms of storytelling in the world, because you can literally make anything. You can make whatever image you want, match any music you want, and layer in any sound effects you want to make a person feel a thing. Like, how do you get more pure in the creation, like in the movie making process, than that?
It's pretty good. I mean, I think really, I think gaming is the sort of the blend of all of this.
That is a very fair point.
Mainly my career has been focused on movies, and now that I'm working more with Rooster Teeth, I'm starting to sort of see the gaming end of entertainment more, and really, like the Witcher series is a good example, that the storytelling is so immersive, and because there is an element of control over the storyline and how things, it's like being able to watch the movie, but you get to customize the storyline a little bit, that whole choose your own adventure concept from books.
And the dread and the fear and the atmosphere and the joy, it kind of happens to you. It doesn't happen in front of you.
Right. You're not just an observer, you're a participant. And I think that's I mean, I don't think that the film industry would ever die per se, but I think that it will soon. It's going to change into mostly gaming. Like, gaming and movies would be something that were like competing almost, for the same kind of entertainment, immersive entertainment. I think VR is about to change things a lot too, and I'm sad that people aren't accepting VR more right now. I feel like it's mostly critical. I don't see any
Here's the thing.
I don't see a lot of supportive stuff about VR right now, and I'm just shocked about
the final model of the Oculus Rift was just announced. No one has really gotten their hands on it yet. Excuse me. The Sony versions and the Microsoft versions are still kind of being worked on. Well, I guess Microsoft kind of bought Oculus, so that's their version. Some of the other versions are still kind of being worked on, and there's still prototypes out there. I feel like we are about 3 years away from actually having that nailed down to the point where people will actually begin to accept it.
Yeah, but either way, I'm still surprised. I mean, most logical, smart, tech-savvy people should have no problem seeing through the typical like starting, like hiccups and tech, hardware issues and compatibility and like all these little things that go along with emerging tech. It just seems like people would be able to see through that and go, even with the most limited experience with it, having spent any time in one, even with a demo, we've only spent a few minutes, actually inside,
playing around with
one, but it was enough for me to go, wow, this is
I agree.
This is going to be a thing real soon. I hope soon.
And I am totally on board. I for one welcome our new Oculus overlords.
Yeah.
Like I'm totally down with that.
I'm totally open. I'm ready. I want the immersive environment. You know, that one in forest game, the game where we were in the forest and there was no, there wasn't even a threat involved in that game. It was just experiencing, pardon me, the forest in general. And
I really wish I remember the name of that game because you're right. It was so pretty. It was really great for that, putting you in the atmosphere. And once you had the headphones on and you were kind of in it, you're like, oh man, this is where the experience is headed.
Yeah, I mean, it's very convincing.
Yeah.
Enough for me to be like, okay, why isn't this? How is this not already huge?
A thing.
Yeah, I'm just like, anybody who's critical of VR right now, you better, you're gonna eat those words, folks.
But anyway, getting back on topic here, what would be your super weakness?
Super weakness, donuts, of course.
That's a fairly quick and easy decision, I guess.
No, they are totally my weakness. I mean, the game developing guys like had a tray of, you know, Shipley donuts, and it was just like,
oh god.
I was like, I need.
Yep. Is that why you were working outside of their little area today? And I thought it was just the big fancy table that you were able to work on, but no, there was just donuts right over there.
No, it was yesterday, but yeah, the donuts. I mean, I make donuts at home sometimes because I want them and can't have them. So, and even though you know, donuts are like a yeast, you know, and sometimes you have to wait for it, and so sometimes I'm like, I'll make it the day before, and I can't. I like don't want to wait. So.
I mean that. We could do a whole episode about cooking. Trust me, we could absolutely do that. So, what other talent, other than the ones you've obviously been gifted with, do you wish you had?
Oh, do I wish I had? I wish I knew how to fly a jet plane, like a fighter jet. I would love to really do that.
No.
Or have had talents somehow, and see, this is a weird thing because I don't know what kind of talents you would need to do this, but I would love to have been an astronaut. So any kind of talents that would have been oriented towards that, that's what I would have wanted. That's what I want.
Fair enough.
I want to go to space. Can we just go to space already?
So what advice would you give to 13-year-old Marcus?
Oh, geez. 13-year-old Marcus, huh? I don't
really anyone, but I like to keep it specific too.
Yeah. To me, what would I advise myself?
Yeah,
I would probably just say don't sweat the small stuff. You know, because that's sometimes a one comment will be the kind of thing that you'll repeat over and over in your head, and you'll never shake. You know, it's like criticism maybe that some kid back in 7th grade or whatever said about you, and you're still holding on to it. Like, you just got to let that shit go. So yeah, don't sweat the small stuff, 13-year-old me, because one day you'll have a nice place at Rooster Teeth to do all the fun things that you didn't think you'd get to do. So
let them bully you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull out your blunderbuss and have to get visual effects to rig up something, but then you'll shoot them, I swear.
Yeah, Bernie saw what I was doing today, and we can't really talk about what I was doing today, but Bernie came by and was like, just sort of like, he did a couple of double takes and then and was like, I don't know what you're doing, and I don't really need to know what you're doing, but the fact that this is what you do here is pretty funny, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You
like,
gotta love those kind of reactions. Like, the arcade cabinet is another good example of that. Like, we just stopped productivity for a couple of hours.
And I keep hearing that word, productivity. I haven't heard the word productivity more.
Yeah, since we made that cabinet.
Days.
Yeah.
But and the funny thing was, those guys bitched and moaned and groaned about, like, when are we going to get that cabinet? When's the main cabinet going to be done? When can we play video games, Marcus? How soon are we going to have that?
I know, like at least 3 times a day.
I mean, multiple emails, like weeks at a time. Okay, when's the main cabinet getting going? And I finally get the damn thing finished and in the office, and the first thing out of everybody's mouth, "Oh, I can't believe you did this. What are we gonna do? This thing is made. This is killed.
Why would you do this to us? God,
This is
Marcus.
the worst thing, the best and worst." I'm like, Jesus, what? Where did this?
That's why I wanted to finish it on Friday.
Oh well.
But whatever, it's fine. It is there forever now. Well, it's there for a while now, and people are gonna get plenty of chances to use it. I assure you.
Yeah, I kept hearing like groans and like bellows and like what
Curses
and button smashing noises. Like you get to a certain distance and all you can hear is
fuck.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how you know you did a good job.
So
basically.
it's good. So yeah, I think I kept thinking I would come around the corner and then no one would be there, but it didn't happen once today. There was always somebody there.
So, what is something that only you do?
Oh, you mean at Rooster Teeth, or you mean in general? What's something
in general?
Oh, I don't know.
What is some weird quirk, some glick that you have?
Oh, okay. I used to do my tongue inside out. But other people can do this though, for sure.
Well, I mean, statistically speaking, yes, but
yeah, I can fold my tongue.
Oh wow! Oh, that's creepy. Wow. Ooh.
And then let's see. The other thing, when I was little, I used to want to be Dracula, really, really bad. And I didn't have any specialized teeth, but I would put my tongue inside out.
Oh God, yeah.
And,
with the veins.
And I would do that, and I would do the veins, and I would freak everybody out.
Ugh.
I don't know anyone else that does that. But
what is your favorite curse word?
Favorite curse word? Oh, God, these are hard questions, Tim.
We are almost done, I assure you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite. I'm an equal opportunity cursor.
That is completely fair.
I throw it all out there. I don't care. I just whatever makes sense for the given situation.
Trust me, that is a completely fair answer. I'm right there with you.
I'm open-minded to new curse words. We need new curse words. How come all the curse words that we have now are old? Can we not invent new ones? We should invent new ones.
A lot of the sting has worn out a lot of them.
Yeah, I feel like, is it even possible to invent new curse words?
I think it's hard to invent new words because then you have to invent new sounds, and in order to invent new sounds, you have to invent new combinations of letters, which we don't really have.
Right.
So I feel like the new way to words is when we start combining languages. That's when we'll start getting the most new words.
But there are a lot of like combinations of words, though.
Yes, well, I mean, like once globalization starts becoming more of a thing, is what I mean. Like you get more things like rodeo, which is a combination of English and Spanish, and things like that. You'll end up kind of getting the language combination words. And that's when we'll start getting new words, new curses, here's the damn part of damn versus the merd part of merd, and suddenly you got da merd, and it means damn shit,
I just wonder who initially, designated these like, oh no, don't say that word. You shouldn't say that. And that's not it's not okay to say that word.
Yeah.
And like who made that decision, and how is it that it has gone on for so long?
I would say television, but it was probably way before that.
The persecution of these curse words will not go unseen here. I'm just...
So where would you one day like to live?
Oh, wow. Well, there are a lot of places that I would love to live. Yeah. I went to college in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I would love to live there. I would love to be like old and...
I bet it was gorgeous, all that red sand.
God, it was so nice. Everything there is nice. Everything about Santa Fe, New Mexico, as far as looking around, is beautiful. I mean, it's not the greatest place for young people. Like there's not a whole lot of a scene there for younger people in general, unless all you did was snowboard, and even then, it's only half the year anyway. They have snow. But
it's just mesas.
But it's so nice there. It's so I hate to be all cheesy and naturey, but it's totally It's totally that place. You know, you
Yeah.
just sort of feel like, oh, I could just sit down and close my eyes and just you know, like this is where this is so nice. Yeah, I love Santa Fe, New Mexico. I would love to live there. I would also love to live like in Patagonia sort of area, like the mountainous sort of
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
South American sort of it's kind of like Iceland sort of the look, but it's still in South America and it's
Right, you would be in the southern
just
hemisphere,
beautiful.
and
Yeah, there's a lot of places I would love to live.
interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. Part of me wants to live on the beach. Part of me wants to live on the mountains, and so I feel like having a summer home in the mountains and then a winter home on the beach would probably be the best thing for me.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you.
I mean,
Uh,
I'm all over the place. I could
yeah.
go anywhere. I'd love it all.
And so our last question here: if you had a choice, how long would it take you to respawn after you died?
Oh, well, it depends on what's happening in between. Do I get like a really cool like green room to hang
We're
my
gonna
head
let you set your own rules here.
on? All right. It would take a while because I would want to like, you know, get my shit together.
Hmm.
So I would have to have a really nice green room with, you know, white M&Ms, white flowers, white table, white linens, white chair.
To make sure they read your rider, of course.
That's right.
Yeah.
Better check my deal memo. Brown M&Ms only. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, no, I'd have to have some time to get my shit together, and then take a break. I don't know. I need a week. I need a week.
Yeah.
I need a week respawn time, please.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our program. I want to thank my guest, Marcus, for coming on the show. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
I hope you had a good time here. Is there anything you would like to plug before we get out of here?
No, go see our movie. Go watch our trailer. Tell all your friends. We had a lot of good times, and I think, you know, as long as you go into it knowing it's a comedy, it should be great.
The link to the Lazer Team trailer will be down in the description. You probably saw a couple clips of it earlier, as well as a bunch of other stuff. Where can people contact you at?
You can probably find me on Twitter. I'm usually making some, you know, meandering, you know, rambles in type form.
And that is...
That's at Marcus Graydor on Twitter.
And that, of course, has been below him this whole time. I
right
want
here.
to... Let's see. Go watch Rooster Teeth stuff. Go watch Lazer Team. It's going to be awesome. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. You've been watching this on youtube.com/Tim Leftwich. My name is Tim Leftwich. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Bye.